Hello, my name is Wayne Ergel. Welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be talking about AI optimized content from People Also Ask data. So if you think about it, Google literally tells us what questions people are asking in the People Also Ask. So I know you've seen those. You search for something and generally mixed in the first page somewhere is People Also Ask. Today I'm going to show you how to build an n8n automation that turns People Also Ask data into AI optimized content, and I'm going to be using the new DataForSEO MCP server that we have installed and works directly in our community. As content creators, we're always trying to figure out what to create. Generally, it's what are people searching for. We typically use keyword research to figure that out. But as we all know, search engines are changing how content gets discovered. I don't know about you guys, I tend to use Perplexity and now Claude and OpenAI or ChatGPT for my searches, less and less with Google, but now they have their AI stuff and now I'm finding myself back there. So I'm using different methods to get AI search results. And I'll say I believe no one knows exactly what works yet. We are in very early days of all this and it's changing every day. But we do know, and this makes so much sense, that people ask questions, they type those into a box somewhere, and they need those answers. And one place to get the questions they're asking is People Also Ask from Google. So I think that's a pretty good bet that if you can answer those questions, do content around that, it'll be a good thing. So again, here's what we're building, an n8n workflow that pulls People Also Ask questions using DataForSEO's new MCP server. It researches them with Perplexity and then creates content optimized for how AI systems seem to work today. And I'm going to just give a little caveat and disclaimer here. Most of the stuff I'm talking about here is coming from a chat session with Claude. So you'll see in a moment when I talk about what does AI optimized content look like. Most of that data is from Claude. Stuff is changing so fast, it's hard to say whether this will be right a week from now. But I do believe, again, going through that, what are people asking and answering it, that just makes sense to me. So that's what we're focused on, and Claude helped me do it. So just to quickly take a look at the difference between traditional long-form content and AI-optimized content. You guys know long form is long, 2,000-3,000 words, even longer sometimes. There's an introduction, conclusion, key takeaways. There's a structure to it. It's linear. It has a narrative flow. Generally trying to optimize for keywords. Typically longer means better. Broad topic coverage. So those are some of the things that you see in long form content. On the other hand, AI optimized content is generally shorter, more direct. So it's given the answers right away. There's no preamble and thanking our sponsors or any of that. Is boom, here's the answer. Structured and with clear H2, H3s and also structured schema. Conversational, more natural speech patterns than maybe the type of writing you would do in long form. So those are just a couple of things that you would see as the difference between long form and AI optimized content. Okay, so here we are in the workflow. You can see it's fairly simple, and I'll talk about why it looks fairly simple here in a second, but I'm going to show you. But before I jump into the workflow, I'm going to show you the results of a previous run. So here is NocoDB, and I did a primary keyword. So that was my input into the workflow of AI agent. I got 8 People Also Ask questions back from DataForSEO, and here's the answer. So this is the content that you would post just like a regular blog post on your website, title and all of that stuff, and hopefully it'd be picked up by an AI search engine to answer a user question. So that's what that output looks like. I'm going to show you the difference in prompting here in just a second, but you'll see my AI content creation content looks a little better than this part, but I will come back to that. Alright, so here we are in the workflow. My standard thing is I always do a set workflow fields, and in there, because this is just manually triggered, you have to come in and do this. I'm going to give it a new search term. Where is that at? AI content. Okay, so I've got AI stuff in NocoDB now. Let's do a totally different one and see how that works. So I'm going to say how to potty train a puppy. And that'll be our search term. We are asking for 8. People also ask questions back from DataForSEO. So hopefully we get that. We'll get the answers. As it's running, I'll talk about it and I'll show you the results in the NocoDB table. All right. Save that. Say execute workflow. Okay, so it's going into the DataForSEO MCP client, which we design or which we have installed in the What AI community. You have access to that. I'll get to that at the end of the video, but you do have that there. I'll talk about this a little bit more when I come back into how the workflow really works, but you saw how quickly we've got one AI agent asking for the people also ask questions from the DataForSEO MCP server to use the tool that gives you that information. Just a couple of nodes to set fields and split them out so that they can be used, standard stuff there. And then it goes into Perplexity for real-time search. So I'm sending, there were 4 items here, not 8. This is one thing, and I'm sorry DataForSEO, I love you guys, but this is a problem. I can run this again, and I will probably, and I'll see 8 items there. This time I asked for 8, it only gave me 4, so it's not consistent when you ask for it. And I tried prompting it in different ways. I tried using the actual field that you use in your API, and I get inconsistent results. So hope you guys can, if you're listening, please work on that. Anyway, we did get our Perplexity results, setting them so that they could be sent to the AEO writer. So this AEO writer is prompted to take the results, the questions, and create an AEO-optimized piece of content, and then it gets put into NocoDB. So let's go look at that. You have to refresh here. And we see our how to potty train a puppy. This is our question. So this is the question that was asked. What is the fastest way to potty train a puppy? Here's our answer. Fastest way to potty train a puppy, no introduction, none of that. It's just boom, here's the routine, establish routine, technique, strategies, key tips. It's a very sort of blunt force answer. Let's see, here's another. People also ask question, what is the 10-10-10 rule for puppies? Never heard of that. But now I know the 3 components of the 10-10 rule, and it tells you 10 minutes in the yard, 10 feet of potty area, 10 minutes of supervision. So look, that's, man, isn't that what you want to know? Okay, so that is another answer. How long does it take for a puppy to be potty trained? Typical potty training time, again, 4 to 6 months. There's the answer, boom, first sentence. It's like a British crime drama. Someone's always killed in the first 15 seconds. These are like that. Anyway, very quickly, here's our answer. And I mentioned I want to show you the difference in prompting. You saw here, let's take a look at this one. We've got a bunch of bold stuff. We've got headings and that kind of thing, H1s, H2s. This one, I didn't have it prompted to do that. I didn't have it prompted to bold and to use headings. And you can see there aren't any. I don't really know if this would make a difference in getting content into an AI search result, but I know it certainly helps if you're reading it to have it more structured. I'm going to go it this way. Again, that's an example of the content output and doing this stuff with bolding and headings and all of that. It seems obvious to me. This is easier to read. But I want to talk a little bit about the things that Claude says you should do when you're creating content for answer engine optimization. We're going to do that, then we'll jump into the details of the workflow. This is what Claude suggests to include in AEO content. And I won't go through every one of these. I'm going to include these charts in the community along with the workflow. So if you join, you'll have them if this is something that you would like to have access to. Structure requirements, again, I think probably one of the biggest things is that direct answer in the very first few sentences. We're going to have H2 and H3 headings that I talked about, include comparison tables. I think I have noticed comparison tables in AI search results, end with actionable takeaways. Content elements, answer related questions, provide real world examples, create 40 to 60 word snippets. So those are some of the things to consider. Language and tone, use you and your, so you're more conversational in your response. And then technical optimization, scannable format, schema friendly. One of the things that's important about this stuff is to have the right schema. I didn't want to cover that in this video because it's a complicated topic, but just for people who have WordPress. So if you have a WordPress website, you could use Rank Math, Yoast SEO, or any of the, presumably all the SEO plugins give you a way to add schema to your post, and you could use that, would be the easiest way. So those are some of the things to include in your AI SEO content. And so now I'm going to jump back into the workflow, look at each one of these areas, the fields that I set, the data for SEO server, Perplexity, Noco or AEO writer, and then NocoDB. Okay, so starting off, we have a manual trigger. So that just means click this button and you'll be running. Workflow fields that I set, how to potty train a puppy. So I've set the keyword. This is a keyword that gets sent to Perplexity and gets sent the data for SEO to get the people also ask questions. Data for SEO needs your location, the language, the search engine, so that's where these fields are set. If you're in Germany, you would put Germany and German and Google or whatever search engine you want. Depth is the number of search results, and the thing to know is the data for SEO tool that you get the people also ask data from is the search API. So you have to, it's basically going out and doing a search for your keyword. I wasn't interested in the actual results, I just wanted the people also ask. So I set the depth pretty low here to 20. This is where I've set how many people also ask questions do I want to get back, and I have 8 here. Noco base ID, so when you copy the NocoDB base, you'll need to put in your information here, the table ID and the base ID. Okay, so that's the set fields. Then the data for SEO agent. So you have the data for SEO. This is a normal n8n AI agent. We've got the OpenAI chat model, and then hanging off here is the data for SEO MCP server. And all that is data for SEO standard MCP client node, and then you set your endpoint, which in this case is the endpoint of the implementation that we have in our community of the data for SEO MCP server. Then you set your authentication, and you can either say tools that you want to include, which I have done here, and this is specifically telling it which tools to use, or you can just say all. And in that way, you're really going to be prompting more than using a specific tool. So you could say, give me the 8 people also ask questions for this keyword, and that may work just as well. It may work better. I don't know. What I do know is the way I think is I need to be a little more detailed in what I'm asking for. So I tend to put the tool there. But it'll be worth trying if you get the workflow, trying it with and without. So that's the tool itself. Here's the MCP agent. You'll see the prompt here. It's very simple. Use the attached data for SEO MCP server to get search results, and people also ask for the specified keyword. That's the whole prompt. I do tell it the output format and not to include all this stuff that makes parsing and JSON management break. Basically the prompt is give me people also ask. And then my user prompt, also very simple. I have set the location, the language, the search engine, the depth, and then I'm just saying use the tool to get the people also ask for the keyword and return, in this case I said 8 results. Again, it only gave me 4. Okay, so that's that part. Here I'm just setting fields, so I needed to set the question and the answer. This is from the people also ask results, but I take those and I put them in to Perplexity. So my Perplexity input here's my prompt, is what is, actually I guess I'm just using the question. Yeah, I'm just giving it the question. I did not give it the answer because I'm asking it for the answer, so this makes sense. But I'm just taking the question from the people also ask results that came from Data4SEO, sticking it in here, and there's my question. It's being sent to Perplexity. It does run through for, if you had 8, it'd go through this 8 times, and then here's the results. And I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but this is the long result. If you were to go into Perplexity and type, what is the fastest way to potty train a puppy? This is the kind of stuff you get. And you can see it's a fairly long answer. It's got a table down here. There's a bunch of links, or what do you call them, citations. So that's the actual answer. And one thing to keep in mind, and this was mixed up in my head, what this workflow does is provides an answer for Perplexity or OpenAI or Claude or Anthropic or any of them to use. It's not a recreation of Perplexity's output. We're just going to create content that Perplexity would index, if that's the right word, and show to a user if they're looking for a particular thing. Okay, hope that made sense. So we've got a Perplexity search, just setting the fields there. Again, just the content, that whole big chunk of content is getting put into the AI writer. And here's where the prompt is a little more involved. And I would let you look at this when you get the workflow, but I'll just quickly say this again is from Claude. We're telling it it's an expert content writer specializing in AEO. Structure your content for AI search engines by leading with direct, complete answers. That includes the exact question phrase naturally. I'll let you review it, but in general, we're telling it how to structure the content. We're telling it to write in a natural, educational tone. We're telling it format requirements, so you want to use Markdown. We want to have H2s, H3s, and bolds. Use bullet list. Again, all this stuff you have to say to it about JSON and not including backticks and spaces and line breaks and all of that sort of standard stuff for me anyway in AI nodes in n8n. But as you can see, here is the output. I have the question and the answer, and then that is broken out here a little bit. So we have what is the fastest way to potty train a puppy? Here's my answer. So I'm going to take this question and this answer and put it into NocoDB. We're going to set fields here to put them in NocoDB. This is the NocoDB node. If you haven't used it, you need to give it your workspace name or ID. I've cheated here and used name. Generally I use ID for this stuff. The base name, the table name, those were set in the set fields in the workflow earlier, or what was it, the second node in the workflow, first one after the trigger. And then you're telling it what fields to send. So we've got a question, an answer, and a primary keyword. We go back here and look at this. We've got question, answer, primary keyword. Okay, so that's the workflow. It's pretty simple. I'm going to run this again because it just bugs me that it gave 4 answers instead of 8. Let's say how to train a puppy to sit. I'm going to let that run. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I can see already it gave me 8 items back. And again, I don't understand that. It's not consistent. I'd say most of the time, if you say give me 8 items, it'll give you 8. If you say 10, it'll give you 10. There's a field in the Data4SEO API. I can't remember what it is. And I tried using that field exactly. That didn't actually work. So I don't know. But again, hopefully something Data4SEO can fix up. Okay, so just to jump in here while it's running, it did return 8 items this time. So I had said give me 8 people also ask questions, and I can see here that it did. So right now it has gone through the Perplexity search, and it is now going through the AEO writer, and it's writing the content, and it's going to put that into NocoDB, and we'll take a look at that here when it's done, and then we'll wrap things up. Okay, finished up. Let's see what happened. So we're going to see here now, we do a refresh, and we'll see how to train a puppy to sit. We've got 8 results. Click on those. Here are the people also ask questions. that get asked about this keyword, how to train a puppy to sit. And then here is our AEO optimized answer. Again, nice headings. Very quickly it's telling you how to do it, why start early. The content's short, sweet, and to the point. Let's see one more. Teaching your dog to sit is one of the most fundamental useful commands. Mastering sit, lure and reward. So here we're right into, what is this, 3 ways to do it. What was the question? What are 3 effective ways to train a dog to sit? Good thing that it had 3 answers, right? We got 8 results as we wanted, so that's good. And that wraps up the content demo part of this. I do want to make a couple of contents about the whole situation here with AEO. For me, search is evolving fast. I've said before, I was using Perplexity only if I wanted to actually know something. If I just wanted a general, where's the best restaurant, I was still using Google. That's changing. Claude has search now. OpenAI does. Perplexity does. Gemini, well, obviously Google does, and their AI stuff. So it's just rapidly changing, and who knows what we'll be saying next week. I'll also say I don't think there's any reason to abandon long-form content. Long-form is still here and still valuable. It gives you authority in the eyes of your website visitor. You can use it to repurpose. You can create a whole content strategy from a 3,000-word article. You could create 20 tweets and 1 LinkedIn post or 4 LinkedIn posts, whatever you want to do, 2 YouTube videos. So the long-form content, in my opinion anyway, is still very valuable. So overall, I'd just say we're in an experimental phase. It's changing rapidly. Who knows what it's going to look like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months from now. And that's also subject to change. But then there's also some stuff that just makes sense. People still type words into little boxes and want to know about them. And one of the things they do is type in questions. And I think if you could create a strong set of content that answers those questions in the way that AI search engines want to see it optimized, you've got something good there. And that's what this workflow does. All that said, thank you so much for watching. I sincerely appreciate it. I hope if you got some value from this video that you will subscribe and comment. And if you want the workflow, it's included in the membership to our What AI community. Link, of course, will be in the description and in a pinned comment. And in addition to this workflow, there's a bunch of other workflows. And as I said, the DataForSEO MCP server is set up. All you need are your credentials. You don't have to do all of the npm, install it here, install it there stuff. It's already done for you. If that's of interest, join the community, get the workflow, get the MCP server, get the other stuff that we have there. So hopefully we'll see you there. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.